Daniel Defoe, Robinson Crusoe, Part 41. Upon the sides of this square post I cut every day a notch with my knife, and every seventh notch was as long again as the rest, and every first day of the month as long again as that long one, and thus I kept my calendar or weekly, monthly, and yearly reckoning of time. In the next place, we are to observe that among the many things which I brought out of the ship in the several voyages, which is above mentioned, I made to it, I got to several things of less value, but not at all less useful to me, which I omitted setting down before, as in particular pens, ink, and paper, several passes in the captain's, mates, gunners, and carpenters' keeping, 3 or 4 compasses, some mathematical instruments, dials, perspectives, charts, and books of navigation, all which I huddled together, whether I might want them or no. Also I found 3 very good Bibles, which came to me in my cargo from England, and which I had packed up among my things, some Portuguese books also, and among them 2 or 3 Popish prayer books, and several other books, all which I carefully secured. And I must not forget that we had in the ship a dog and 2 cats, of whose eminent history I may have occasion to say something in its place, for I carried both the cats with me, and as for the dog, he jumped out of the ship of himself and swam on shore to me the day after I went on shore with my first cargo, and was a trusty servant to me many years. I wanted nothing that he could fetch me, nor any company that he could make up to me. I only wanted to have him talk to me, but that would not do. As I observed before, I found pens, ink, and paper, and I husbanded them to the utmost. And I shall show that while my ink lasted, I kept things very exact, but after that was gone, I could not, for I could not make any ink by any means that I could devise. And this put me in mind that I wanted many things, notwithstanding all that I had amassed together. And of these, ink was one, as also a spade, pickaxe, and shovel to dig or remove the earth, needles, pins, and thread. As for linen, I soon learned to want that without much difficulty. This want of tools made every work I did go on heavily, and it was near a whole year before I had entirely finished my little pail or surrounded my habitation. The piles or stakes, which were as heavy as I could well lift, were a long time in cutting and preparing in the woods, and more by far in the bringing home, so that I spent sometimes 2 days in cutting and bringing home one of those posts, and a third day in driving it into the ground, for which purpose I got a heavy piece of wood at first, but at last bethought myself of one of the iron crows, which, however, though I found it made driving those posts or piles very laborious and tedious work. But what need I have been concerned at the tediousness of anything I had to do. Seeing I had time enough to do it in, nor had I any other employment, if that had been over, at least that I could foresee, except the ringing the island to seek for food, which I did more or less every day. I now began to consider seriously my condition and the circumstances I was reduced to, and I drew up the state of my affairs in writing, not so much to leave them to any that were to come after me, for I was likely to have but few heirs, as to deliver my thoughts from daily poring over them and afflicting my mind. And as my reason began now to master my despondency, I began to comfort myself as well as I could, and to set the good against the evil, that I might have something to distinguish my case from worse. And I stated very impartially, like debtor and creditor, the comforts I enjoyed against the miseries I suffered.